So Maria says, how do we stand our boundaries with softness? Right. That's a great question. And so boundaries are kind of like the way that you want to think about them from a metaphor standpoint is actually like having a boundary, but like a rubber boundary, right? Like a guy comes in and he's like, oh, is this the place? And you're like, boom, nope. But at the same time, you want to be loving to him, right? You want to let him know that you still like him. And I kind of have this way of doing it, which is, so if a guy is trying to push past your boundary, you let him know. There's a bunch of different ways that you can set boundaries, but one of them is when he's trying to push past your boundary and you just let him know. Like, let's say, for instance, that he's like trying to get you over to he's like, hey, you want to go back to my place and watch a movie right now? And it's like a first date or second date. And you're just like, well, I'm not ready to do that yet. What you want to do, there's two different kinds of ways to reject a guy when he does that. One is kind of what I call a hard rejection, where you're like, no, I'm not interested. Get away from me. You suck, blah, right? And the other one is like a soft rejection, which is like, oh, I'm not yet, I'm not ready yet. That's something I'm interested in, but not yet. And so the way that you communicate that would be something like, hey, I would love to do that in the future, right? You tell them what you want. I'd love to do that at some point here in the future. And then you say, but, I'm not quite ready to do that yet. I still need some, feel like we haven't really gotten to know each other that well. And I feel like I want to know you a lot better before I do that, right? And so you tell them what you need. And then you say, how about we just call it a night and let's get together another day for another date, right? And then you ask him if he agrees to what it is that your boundary is. And that doesn't have to be it, right? Like you could say something else like, hey, I'd love to do that at some point in the future. Sounds like a lot of fun. And, I think you're really attractive. However, I don't want to, hook up with a guy outside of, I have a rule. This is one of my favorite ones. I have a rule that I don't hook up with men outside of a committed relationship, and so what you're doing there is basically you're letting him know that you really like him, but you have this thing that's this boundary that's stopping him from doing it. So you're not hard rejecting him. He's not going to take it as a hard rejection unless he has insecurities in his own mind about himself and his own value, which there's not a whole lot that you can do about that, right? You don't want to tiptoe around a man's insecurities in order to, and let him walk all over your boundaries. So what you want to do is just, be firm but also be soft, right? Also let him know that you like him and all that kind of stuff. And so I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense, Maria.